Hey guys, Gibby here at Fire Bros Garage with another episode of Holy Shit, this Camaro's thrashed. So today, we're gonna replace the roof. I have the new A&D roof there, supports there. I'm gonna leave the inner structure alone, I'm gonna leave the supports alone until I'm ready to put the new roof on. Then I'll get those supports on. I don't want any of that inner structure to move. Hopefully it'll be seamless that way, but anyway, I like to cut the big piece of metal off of this and slowly sneak up to these spot welds, then start taking it apart. I've done it as complete sheets before. I did the floor that way, and it is a pain in the you know what. So found it's best just to kind of sneak up on these, get as much out of the way, because you can kind of see where those spot welds are, if you can see both sides of it. So let's get the main part of this roof cut off, and let's get to work. So guys, the next step after I cut the roof off is I'm going to start finding spot welds in this back window. You can see this thing is just trashed. It's got huge holes where the window is supposed to go. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll take my flapper disc on my die grinder and I'll go through here and find out those spot welds. Then I'll take my spot weld drill. I just bought a kit that I'll show you. It's pretty affordable. It has the spring loaded cutter, and then also the drill bit, and then I bought some bars from Amazon actually that has a whole bunch of different angles to help you pound out when you get these, or the spot weld, I don't know what they call them. So I got all these drilled out. There's a ton of rust, like some of these just popped right out, and I was able just to take the breaker and just cut right through. Others I drill out. But this looks pretty good. The A&D kit, the support kit, comes with the front and back of everything that goes up here. I'm only going to replace what I have to, and all that I know so far, this looks really good. All the rust was actually in the roof. This actually is probably a little bit of grinding and hammer and dolly, and I'll be able to straighten this all up. It's really solid. So I'll leave this. I'll start working my way down this way now. Because what I'm doing now is I'm taking this drill bit, spot weld drill bit, and I'm drilling out all these spot welds I can find. And then I'm going to come back with the cutter, because that puts a nice little dimple in there. This is really easy to get started. You find your weld, you just hold pressure, and it'll get it started. Now I can come back with that cutter, and I can drill those out. Very simple, very fast. Now I can come back with the cutter, the spring loaded in there, and I can start it right in that hole there. So what you want to watch for when you do this is not going all the way through. Like you can see, I've already done one. So about right there you want to stop, and I'll drill all these out. And then we'll come back with our splitters and we'll show you how that works. So I'm going to use my straight bar here. And I'm going to just kind of edit this in and lightly tap. And see, it's already breaking those spot welds. Okay guys, I got all these spot welds removed, got this grain gutter. Here's my problem. Well, I probably should have done the roof first. But I've done all these quarters and everything, so I can't really get in there to finish that rain gutter, so I'm going to put half a rain gutter on this, but I am going to shave this roof. I'm going to actually I think it's a good idea. We'll see what happens. But anyway, onto the front. That is so rusty, I'm just peeling it up. I'm not even have to hit the spot welds yet. So I'm literally just taking my splitter and just running it through and just separating what's kind of left. Everything looks good underneath. I don't know. I'm going to take some flapper disc and clean it all up and really see what it looks like. But the further I get into this car, the more metal work I have to do. But let's get going. Anything crazy. Doesn't take a lot of heat. A wire brush, big or small. I like the small because I like to control it. And a mask and gloves because it's going to get hot and you don't want to breathe in lead. So let's go ahead and get this lead out of here. We've already got it running. It's getting hot. We're just going to take this brush. Alright guys, simple as that. Also goes for the back for your quarters and everything else. I've already done the quarters, so I did that a long time ago. But anyway, pretty simple. So what I'm doing now is I am taking my cordless grinder with a wire wheel on it, and I'm cleaning all the surface rust up. As you can see from my face, I've already started on it. But it's real important to wear eye protection, breathing protection, because this makes a mess. I got a fan going that's blowing all this airborne stuff out of here so it doesn't stay in my garage. Anyway, just be safe when you're doing this, protect yourself. Next thing I'll do is once it's done, I'll take a POR or a Rust-Oleum paint all this inside and out. I just got a message from DSE yesterday that said they shipped my roll bar that was backordered. So maybe I'll just wait on putting the roof in until I get my roll bar put in. It'll be a lot easier like this than once that roof's on. Alright, let's get to work. So as you get these spot welds out and you use the splitters and all that, and you get in here and you kind of bend these up a little bit. So what I like to do is come back and I'll use a flap disc on here, grind down what's left over these spot welds. Then I'll take my hammer and dolly, go down here and flatten this all out and get ready to, when you get ready to weld these back together, you'll have a nice flat surface to work with. It's real simple. With your dolly, just kind of work it, go down and flatten this out so it's nice and flat. When you go to put your clamps on, put your metal together, it sits nice and flat. And then I'll do some weld through primer once this is all done. just to make sure all this is nice and covered, and hopefully we'll never have to worry about rust again because it'll be sitting inside. But anyway, let's move on. So what I'm going to do now that I've got all these cleaned up, I've got as good as I can with that wire brush on the grinder. I'm going to take this wax and tar remover, the instructions on port 15s, clean it the best you can. So I'm going to do this, get it all cleaned up. I'll tape a line where I'm going to weld everything to not get that in there. Then I'll come back and do the weld through primer after. So I'm going to go ahead and get going with this. I'm going to go ahead and pour 15 this, but I don't want to put it anywhere I need to weld. So I'm going to run blue tape down these where the rain gutters need to weld on here, on the back, the roof that makes up the window, and then also the front. So I'll run a little piece of tape here where those supports have to go. But otherwise, this thing is all cleaned off. All the surface rust, as best it can, is wire brush off. So let's get this taped off and let's get to work. So there's 2 coats. Looks pretty good. First coat, there were still a few spots you could see through, but I think it covered pretty well, and they use very much of that can, so that should be good to do the inside also. Okay, so now it's time to start putting the roof back on. The first thing we have to do is put these 2 cross braces back in. So when I ordered the kit, I did a video on AMD X numbers. You can go look at that. So this is an AMD X number. It's marked as AMD. What an X number means is they believe it's up to their quality, but they don't make it. I'm opening this kit. It's a really complete kit. It looks really good, but I don't need it all. It comes with all your front supports, your corner supports here, your rear support, the side, the cross bracing, and it also comes with the rods for your headliner and the headliner clamps for front and side. So really complete kit. Really will come in handy when I go to start putting that interior. But the rest of the stuff, I'm going to put it back in the box and put it in a storage shed, maybe for another project. I don't know. But anyway, today we're going to get these side braces on and rain gutters on, and hopefully the roof. So I am going to shave the rain gutters, but I have a surprise that I've been working on, trying to put the math together. Anyway, you'll just have to bear with me and watch this whole video and see what I do. But anyway, we're going to get rain gutters on and the cross supports at least today. Then we'll move on to the roof. I don't know, maybe the next day off. We'll see how much time we have. So real quick, first thing we're going to do is we're going to check the fitment of all this stuff. Take pictures when you do this so you remember. It's been a few weeks since I've started this, so I went back and looked at some pictures just to make sure I had it right. But what we're going to do is we're going to check. We're going to put the side mount in first, and there's little grooves it fits in, so it's pretty easy. Then your front to back goes on top of this. It's a little too saggy, so that kind of braces that up, and it fits. Once you get it in here, it'll pull this. It'll pull this to exactly where it needs to go. Everything seems to fit really well in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start drilling some holes for some spot welds, and we'll get in here and get it welded. This should be a pretty quick project. So as I was getting all this fit, and everything on that side looked good, and something wasn't going right with this center. I came over here to check this side, and you can see it's entirely too long. which is not that big a deal. I'll just have to trim this, but I think all these Camaros and all these old cars are built so differently that whatever car they decided to make this mold off was a little wider or something. I'm not sure, but I need to trim it up and hopefully it'll fit better. Got all this in place here. Everything's lining up really good, so I think we're good to go. That side sits about the same as this now. That side was sitting pretty low on this, so I had to cut about an 1/8 inch off of that side and trim this side a little bit. So everything's sitting good now, so we're gonna take it apart, drill our spot holes, get it clamped in, and we should be able to finish welding it now. Alright, today's the day. I told you maybe in an earlier video that I would have a surprise for you when this roof came. So, been doing a little research and I screwed up, but luckily I had other plans. So, I took the rain gutters off here, but I had already replaced these panels, so I cannot take this rain gutter off here. So, I've been kind of racking my brain trying to figure that out. I am going to shave these rain gutters, but not like you think. I'm going to cut them flush, and then I'll kind of show you on this before we start. So here's the plan. So here's the rain gutter that fits on this side. As you can see, I screwed up. I should have replaced these before this panel, but I didn't. So anyway, I've always wanted to shave these off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this here and leave this as one solid piece. And then I'm going to cut this piece off once the roof's on, and I'm going to weld this flush to the car, and then I'm going to take the gutters that I had cut off, and I'm going to weld them back on. So it still appears like it has a rain gutter, but there will be no gap. This will be totally flush, clean. I don't know. We're going to see how it'll go. I've researched a little bit. I can't find a Camaro like this. I've seen some other things, El Caminos and stuff, that guys are doing this, and I really like the look. So I'm gonna go give it a shot. I'll try to document everything step by step what I do. Hopefully it works out, but we'll see. Let's start getting to work, get this roof on here. The initial fitting of this roof is pretty good. There's some gaps here, and I'm gonna have to grind these because if I put them where they need to go, there's a big overlap where they used to have the lead filler here. So I'm gonna have to trim some of this, probably trim back here a little bit. The back window is really where the problem is. It's not sitting on the corners. So we'll have to massage that a little bit. So the next thing I'm gonna work on before we do any of that is I need to get these rain gutters in. And like I said, I screwed this part up bad. So I'm gonna have to kind of make my own way of doing that. I didn't realize these were so rusty underneath here when I did this, when I took the other roof off and when I put this quarter. The real problem is I took the quarter panel. I did the quarter panel before I did the roof. I thought it was savable, and just kept finding more and more rust in it. So anyway, it is what it is. We're going to figure this out. So what I think I'm going to do is cut this off, and on the new one, it fits like this. I'll just cut this off and then weld it back on here when I do this. So we try to get that on there now, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Like I said, this is not stock, it's not factory, it's something I wanted to do. So if you like it, great. If you don't do it to your car. So what I'm going to do is I cut this off, and if you can see this, I cut this back of this off because this is the screw up spot. Both of these were rusty. I have one still, it's pretty rusty. The other one was shot. So I went and just clamped it on in place so I can figure out exactly where they're all going to line up. So once I get in here, I line up the rain gutters, whatever, that's about how it's going to sit. Doesn't really matter to me. I just want to get the roof on right. This is all going to get shaved off and then re-welded. So I'm just trying to get kind of a factory location for these roof supports. So as I do that, those look like they're going to line up pretty well right there. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. I'm going to get some of this coating off of here. Just got some advice from a guy about not using the weld-through primer. So where I drill these holes, I'm going to go through and get rid of that weld-through primer. Since this is all bare metal and not rusty, he said your welds will hold better and you don't really need this crap on here. So I'm going to take it off and see how it goes. So, right, so we got this lower clamped in place now. You see we sized this rear for my mistake. Got all the tack welds punched in, got all this coating removed. I went through and marked on here and then got rid of all the primer on here so it'll weld a little bit better. So just kind of sizing it and get it in the right spot. When I get this where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and clamp this all in here and weld it in place. Then we'll repeat the process for the other side. So you got the rain gutters on, looking pretty good. It's still sitting in there. Here's the biggest problem I'm having right now. This isn't lining up, and it looks exactly the same on that side. I'm going to have to make a little cut here, a relief cut, to be able to get that to sit down in there. And I'm going to do it on both sides because they're both about the same. We're going to see where it's sitting. Everything else looks pretty good. I haven't had to do, I did a little grinding here because it was overlapping this, and then a little in the front right here to get it to sit inside this. Once this sits down, it sits perfectly in here. So I think that's our biggest holdup right there. I'm going to try to grind that a little bit, make a little relief cut, and see if I can get her to sit in there. You have to see we had to make 2 relief cuts in the back. The roof was a little long in front, so I had to make a couple cuts on both sides. Where it hits the rain gutter, I had to trim that side. It was a little longer than this side, so it wouldn't even go in. So I just hit that with the flapper disc, took a little bit off, and it popped in there. So it's fitting pretty well right now. I think when I take it off, I'm gonna hit these a little bit with the flapper disc because they kind of almost hit that groove at the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna draw some lines on here. I'm gonna go ahead and take my marker, make some marks where I want to do the holes for the plug welds, and then once that's all done, I'll put it back on and get it all clamped in and I'll start welding. But let me go ahead and get started on that. We will be wrapping up this roof. As you can see, we had to make relief cuts on either side of this window. Just wouldn't quite sit down, so we just made small relief cuts. So I'm gonna make a cardboard template out of this, cut these out, get them welded in, smooth it all out, get the welds all smoothed on all this. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shave these drip rails. But I'm gonna do it a little different. I'm gonna shave it close to the car, and then I'm gonna take this outer piece of this drip rail and I'm gonna weld it on here. So you better subscribe. I'll do a whole new video on this and how to do it, and we'll go over how it comes out.